He apparently also has hiked all 48 New Hampshire 5-footers or something like that. I don't know. He does some sort of hiking with mountains and it means gibberish to me. So please welcome Ken McGinley.
Raw dog menopause. Thanks, Stephanie. Give it up for Tuya and Figgy. Awesome. Yeah, I know what it's like to follow Taylor Swift on the stage, right? It's amazing. So I feel like I just peed a little bit. I'm sorry. I'm really fucking nervous. But don't groan, right? I'm a 62-year-old guy. If I can't talk about incompetence, incontinence, or impotence, I got no act, right? I mean, it's fucking crazy. So I see a lot of my friends made it tonight. They've loosened up the qualifications for early release in the New Hampshire Department of Corrections. So I'm glad you guys could be here today. So as the night goes by, you're going to realize that I'm one of the senior members of Couch to Mike. In general, we're a little bit older than I expected us to be, which explains why the show's at 7 o'clock and not 9 o'clock. Because we all got to get home, get to bed by 10:30 or so. We're trying to get a 6 a.m. show going, but Stephanie won't hear about that. Once you reach my age, you go to see a doctor a lot more often, and you find out about these ailments that you didn't even know they were ailments. Like I went to the doctor the other day and he says, I think you have senior Tourette syndrome. I said, what? Senior Tourette syndrome? He says, yeah, it's manifested, but its manifestation is you randomly shout out old man expressions like, get off my lawn, or pull your pants up, or go back to where you came from. He had a really difficult time diagnosing me because he just thought I was running for governor of Texas. Yeah, technology can also be a problem for me. I have three 20-somethings. I get held up subject to ridicule and scorn when I can't figure out something on my phone, so I decided to get even with them. And I bought an analog clock with Roman numerals, and I put it up in the living room, right? So every time they bust my chops about not knowing how to do something on my phone, I say, what time is it? It worked for 2 of them. The third one's kind of an ass. I don't know who he takes over. I don't know. My wife's out here. I think he takes after me, just to be on the safe side. But he says, congratulations, Dad. You've mastered 200-year-old technology in a language from 6000 BC to tell me what time it is. I was pissed. I said, Jared, if it wasn't raining, I would take you out back and make you read the sundial. I retired about a year ago. I don't know, is my boss out there? Because I haven't fucking told him yet. So as I've gotten older, I've kind of I've come up with a bunch of analogies, and one of them is you've treated your body like a carnival ride for the last 40 years. Anybody remember the Roundup? Right, you would get on this thing, and you would it had all these bright, shiny chrome and all these light bulbs and stuff. And you'd get up and you'd stand in this thing and it'd start to spin really fast. And the centrifugal force would push you up against the back. And the fucking bottom would fall out of the thing. Now you're hanging in midair, right? And then all of a sudden the thing would it would go from horizontal to vertical, right? So I use this as an analogy for myself getting older, right? It's like, my joints, the chrome is all rusty now, and my joints are all rusty and they snap. And the bulbs are all burnt out. I'll walk into the kitchen and what am I doing in here? The worst, the unkindest cut of all, though, is how long it takes for the Roundup to go from horizontal to vertical. That's the unkindest cut of all. Carnivals have mostly been replaced by the fair now, right? You go to the Topsfield Fair, the Deerfield Fair. When I was a kid, the carnival, it would just pop up in the Kmart parking lot, right? You'd wake up in the morning and all of a sudden there's rides and there's fried dough and everything out there. The Roundup was still there, though, so now you've got these fairs, Deerfield, Topsfield, and the Roundup is still there, and I think the same guy is running the Roundup, right? So, the guy, right? He's got long, greasy hair, he's got a couple of teeth, he's got a cigarette hanging out of his mouth, he's got a Led Zeppelin t-shirt on. take a closer look at that guy and you realize that's your sponsor. So for those of you guys that don't know what a sponsor is, there's one or two of you out there that don't know what it is. There's 10 or 12 that need one. But a sponsor, if you're in recovery, a sponsor is somebody who helps guide you. They give you advice. They share their experience, strength, and stuff, and hope. And then eventually they'll bust your chops a little bit. It's kind of a cross between a spiritual guide, a parole officer, and a really sadistic older sibling, right? So I got this sponsor, and he says, we're gonna clean up your side of the street. And I didn't realize we were neighbors, because my side of the street included his attic, his garage, his laundry, his lawn, all that stuff, you know. People ask me what I'm in recovery for. I like to tell them it's the 70s and the 80s, right? So I came of age in a time when we were listening to John Lennon, Imagine, or Led Zeppelin, Stairway to Heaven, all these really inspirational songs. 20 years later, we're listening to Oh Mickey and Ice Ice Baby. So you drink too, you know, if you had to go through that. I lost my space here. It'll be all right. So I attend 12-step meetings in New Hampshire and on the North Shore of Massachusetts. Two very different animals, right? You go to a meeting in Lynn, Massachusetts, right? You got all these guys, they're throwing chairs, they're screaming at each other, there's fist fights. You go to a meeting in New Hampshire, right? And you're sitting next to this woman and she's doing her knitting. Wow, let me tell you about these knitting ninjas, you know? I sat next to him at a meeting one time, and this guy shared the most disgusting story of drunken debauchery. I mean, we were all frozen to our chairs, and this woman's sitting there, she's doing her knitting next to me, right? She leans over and she says, I did that too. Holy shit. I was just frozen in my chair. She goes back to her knitting, right? She looks up wistfully. She leans back over and she says, only I was naked. So now I've made a decision. You know, I'm going to go back to the meetings in Lynn, and I'll just leave you with this. I would rather be found with a switchblade in my chest than a knitting needle in my temple. Thanks.